Hello, everyone, and welcome to WebPresented and SPARXiQ webinar. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to join us today. What's first and foremost, I think, on everybody's mind is COVID-19 pandemic, and we all know that it's causing severe disruption to our daily lives, personally, and of course in our businesses. Our hope is that everyone is safe and healthy during these challenging times. Taking care of your family is, of course, paramount, while also attempting to navigate certainly unprecedented business climate that we're in. My name is Gregory Smith. I'm VP of Strategic Accounts and Partnerships with SPARXiQ. A little bit about me. I've spent over 30 years in electrical distribution in a C-level position. So I understand the daily push-pull of growing profitable top-line revenue while also growing your EBIT number. And I'd also like to introduce James from WebPresented. James, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is James Gertis. I'm the CEO, CTO, and in charge of product development from WebPresented. We are a CRM platform specifically designed for wholesale distributors. We have about 20,000 sales users running our platform day in, day out as a critical part of their business and solely catering to the distribution industry.
Great, thanks, James. So, sorry, bear with me 1 second, a little technical glitch. There we go. So again, SPARXiQ strategically partners with very few companies. The process to determine which companies would make a good partner is exhaustive, as you can imagine. We are fortunate to be able to call WebPresented a strategic partner of ours for a variety of reasons, some of which you can see on the screen. We look at best of breed in terms of who is leaders within their own vertical, within their own industry, flexible integration with ERP systems, which we think is paramount. Decades of experience and improve operational efficiency, better customer experience, all those things. So suffice is to say, our strategic partnership with WebPresented is built on mutual customer-focused objectives and goals. James, would you like to add anything else to this?
No, not at this point. Sounds great.
Okay, great. All right, so today's agenda, we're going to introduce a little bit of introduction of WebPresented CRM quoting module. We're going to do a demo of the WebPresented quoting features, so you get a better understanding and feel for what that module is and for their CRM platform. Introduction of SPARXiQ Price Banding, and then some Q&A. So at this point, I'd like to hand over the controls to James to walk us through WebPresented CRM quoting module.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. So briefly, who are WebPresented? And hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm having a little bit of static on my line, but Greg, please let me know if you can't hear me okay.
No, sounds good.
Okay, perfect. So WebPresented, we're a CRM development organization based in Columbus, Ohio. I know I don't sound like a typical Ohioan, but we're located here in the Midwest. I've been working with distributors since 2003. We are a technology-first platform, so we have a great deal of experience integrating with third-party ERP products, as well as different platforms such as Microsoft Exchange, mapping technologies, warehouse logistics technologies, phone system integration, as well as BI environments. The CRM platform itself is a user-friendly, easy-to-use tool that not only allows enterprise-grade CRM capabilities, such as account management, tracking activities, creating opportunities, tracking those opportunities through a very easy-to-use and simple environment, but it's geared towards providing value to salespeople in the distribution world. We know what drives salespeople in distribution. We know how they reach their goals. And a lot of that comes from delivering a unique level of experience to each and every one of your customers. The success of WPCRM rests on the success of its adoption among our customers. We don't consider a product launch a success the minute we sell software licensing or subscription services. To us, success means that every individual within an organization is using the CRM. We know how difficult it is to get CRM to successfully be adopted among organizations. Our belief is that by truly providing value to salespeople out in the field, making it a reason for them to use the tool versus a data entry tool, truly providing value, that is the key to a successful CRM implementation. And in order to provide value, we use data out of the ERP platform, the ability to quickly and easily manage their day-to-day tasks. The system is accessible from anywhere. So both on a browser and a mobile device, you can create activities, enter contacts, prospects, update opportunities, etc., or from your mobile phone. And then finally, the system, as you'll see as I go through the demonstration, the key to the success is how easy to use it is. So we make something very difficult, very complicated behind the scenes, make it very easy to use from a user's perspective. One of the very, very powerful areas of WPCRM, which sets us apart from standard CRMs, is our quoting capabilities. So a lot of our customers, while most ERP platforms allow for quote entry and order entry, WPCRM takes quote entry to another level. We use data that exists inside of your ERP system to help the quoting process, whether that be to streamline the ability to add shopping lists or add products to quotes, the integration of e-commerce to bring in product images and extended descriptions and maybe technical specifications and attachments, the ability to use predictive analytics to understand what other products should be purchased at the same time as making those purchases. And of course, very rapid real-time integration with the ERP system so that you can create a quote, get real-time pricing, real-time availability, and push that quote back into an order in the ERP system. Like I mentioned before, WPCRM integrates with all the different areas of your business. And one area that's not on here, which of course is critical in the context of this presentation, is our integration to SPARXiQ's pricing optimization engine and the price bands, which I'm going to show you in a real live demo today. Why do our customers use WPCRM? Well, the answer to that question is that WPCRM gives the distributor a competitive advantage over its competitors. How does it give it a competitive advantage? Well, each distributor sells the same products, the same basic services and products. But the key to WPCRM is being able to understand rapidly a customer's needs, being able to proactively reach out to customers when necessary, and to be able to target a sales message to every single customer, bearing in mind the unique attributes of that single customer. And of course, as customers are becoming more fickle, it's easier to switch distributor. It's even more important for a distributor to put that customer at the center of their interactions and drive their decisions and their actions based on the customer's needs. A couple of examples in the current climate. Why is CRM, specifically a accessible, usable CRM, important now in the current crisis? Well, first of all, sales folks are all working remotely, right? So there's nobody at home, there's no shouting across the office to understand what it needs. So there's much more importance on collaboration. It also means that some of our customers are really struggling in the current economic climate. Maybe some sales reps are being forced to take on more work, to be able to maybe one person be able to do the job of two, where two sales reps did it before. So the need for a tool that makes a salesperson more efficient and the ability to take on a heavier workload or even focus on more high-value activities becomes more and more important. We've also got customers that have reached out to us and said, you know, really times are difficult now. We need to use our data, use the data in CRM to understand where are new sales opportunities, where can we generate new revenue streams based on our existing customer base. And I'll show you some examples of that. We also had customers that rapidly send out messaging and communications, particularly about opening hours, new delivery policies and procedures now that there's social distancing in place. It's very important to have a tool that rapidly allows you to send out those communications. And then finally, we talk about vitality statistics and vitality indicators. WPCRM, by using data out of your ERP system, by using sales data and CRM data, we can understand which customers are behaving in manners which are abnormal to their usual everyday routine behaviors. And by checking those exceptions to customer behavior, we put your salesperson in a very strong position to be able to react to any changing customer needs. So traditionally, an account manager would work with customers on a one-to-one basis. WPCRM changes that dynamic, and we allow for collaboration so that multiple different areas of your business can work together and collaboratively to put the customer at the center of the interaction. Finally, a last slide before I show you a live walkthrough is a simple slide that you're going to be familiar with, particularly now that a lot of people are staying at home and are watching a lot of TV. And this slide is the Netflix screen that I'm sure you're familiar with. And why do I bring up the Netflix slide? What does this have to do with distribution? What does this have to do with CRM software? Well, the answer to that question is there's a lot of parallels between the Netflix screen you're seeing here and a very well executed CRM like WPCRM. First of all, Netflix uses a lot of data behind the scenes, a lot of data that goes into its viewing patterns and its customer behavior. Yet it distills that data into a very simple, easy to use interface so that it doesn't require training, it doesn't require a lot of thought, but it helps the end user to make quick decisions based on high likelihood of positive outcomes. Well, what I'm going to show you today in WPCRM is draws a very strong parallels between this Netflix interface and the distribution sales environment. What I'm going to show you is, yes, yep.
Hey James, it's Greg. So does this slide here indicate that you like watching serial killer movies?
Well, actually, it's my teenage son's Netflix account, so maybe I should be worried about him.
Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. Okay, so while Netflix tells your user, based on historical patterns of activity and behaviors and purchases, here's what we predict next. Well, WPCRM, I'm going to show you a slide just for every single one of your customers, based on their historical interactions, whether that be orders, whether that be logins to your e-commerce website, whether that be sales calls and the outcome of those sales calls. We can make predictions as to which activities are going to generate the highest value for each of your sales reps. And when we're talking to a customer, which product or products should they be purchasing that they're currently not purchasing? So I'm excited to show you a screen that draws a lot of parallels with this Netflix slide. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to give you a 2-minute introduction to our CRM tool, and then I'm going to get to the meat of this demo, which is our quoting capabilities. So if you see my screen, I'm logged in here as a sales rep. And the sales rep for today, his name is Vic Aldridge. His primary objective is to, of course, grow his sales. He has sales targets he needs to meet, and he has a book of business, several customers, several accounts that he needs to prioritize and determine of the limited number of hours in his day where he should focus his time. So the first thing Vic's going to do is he opens up his dashboard. This might be in the morning over his coffee. He might turn off his phone and see here, how is he performing with relation to his budget or his target? Well, I can see Vic's doing great in terms of equipment sales. In fact, for this month, he's already met his quota. So he should turn his attention now to driving up his consumable sales. And of course here, the yellow line is the projection of where he's going to be come the end of the month. The green line takes his real data out of your ERP system, and the blue line here is his target. So I can see Vic really needs to up his game when it comes to the consumable sales. So given that basic driving compass-like indicator, how do we then help Vic to make smart decisions in terms of using his time wisely? Well, the next step comes in what we call the customer scorecard. And what this is it's a stack-ranked listing of all of Vic's customers. And now, how is it ordered? How is it sorted? Well, the answer to that question is the customers at the top of the list are going to be those ones that have the most high value opportunity of activities that Vic can take. So number one customer, Transcend Techno, is the number one customer in terms of action required. So let's go ahead and click on that customer. And again, in one click, Vic can now see a very nice and easy to use scorecard of the underlying metrics that tell Vic why he needs to reach out to that customer. And I can see very clearly the lowest score here is what we call the frequency score. And that tells Vic that typically, historically, this customer has placed an order every 2 days. They've established that buying pattern over the last 12 months or so. So Vic can pretty regularly rely on this customer to place an order. The next metric you'll see is that 15 days have gone by since the expected reorder date. So clearly there's a stoppage here. There's a stoppage in the usual behavior. And so Vic needs to be alerted about this and can now start to take action. Again, this takes the guesswork out of managing a large book of accounts. It draws the salesperson attention to those important red flags in terms of buying behaviors or customer patterns of behavior. And it makes it very easy for Vic to now decide what to do. And again, this is just one example. We have a whole library of different metrics, or what we call vitality statistics, that help us understand the health of any given customer. So now Vic's decided he's going to go ahead and call on this customer. Well, our account screen makes it very easy for Vic to see historical notes, view activity, search historical activity, including emails, including orders, including ERP opportunities, etc. In fact, he can even take a look at this customer on a map and find out, well, if he's visiting this customer anyway, what other customers are in close proximity he might also want to reach out to. He can take a look at opportunities. He can take a look at historical activity, which is going to allow him to search through a listing of all this recent interaction, so he's not going to be blindsided when he picks up the phone and calls this customer. But the important part about WPCRM, this takes me back to the Netflix analogy, is, okay, we've understood what's happened in the past, but how can we help this customer in the future? And that's where WPCRM comes in strong. We have a tab over here that says suggested products. And by analyzing a single customer's purchases, by marrying that data up with your entire set of customer purchase history, we can start making associations between customers and product history, so that for an individual customer, we can start finding the gaps or the white space where there are opportunities to grow business. In this particular case, Transcend Techno, we're doing a great deal with them. They're buying a lot of these aluminum panels from us, and that's fantastic. Great work. However, what they're not buying is what we're seeing here. They're not buying these colored boards that sit inside the panels. They're not buying the white paint that people traditionally paint the panels with. So by simply taking a look at historical data, just like how Netflix understands that somebody who watches one show typically might like another show, WPCRM uses predictive analytics to help your salespeople to understand what products a customer should be purchasing that they're currently not purchasing. So it's a great way of identifying new opportunities for business. Now, I'm going to take a pause here, because this is all well and good, and this is great information. But to make it truly fantastic information is the ability to take action on this information. And how can Vic truly take action on this set of information in front of him? Well, the answer to that lies in the ability to simply click on or highlight any of these items. And you'll notice once I highlight these items, there's some new options open up to me at the top of the screen. Well, first of all, Vic might want to schedule a meeting. So it's going to go out to his Outlook calendar. It's going to tell him when he's available. He can even look on a map and see when's he in this particular neighborhood, so he can go out and call this customer. He might want to schedule up a follow-up task. It's going to give him a reminder on his mobile device to say, hey, follow up with these guys on these 4 products that could be of interest. Maybe he's going to want to generate an opportunity that goes into your pipeline, so that in forecasting data in the future, we might want to see that there's a great opportunity for this customer we can follow up on, and we can use our very, very robust drag and drop opportunity funnel pipeline capabilities. Or, and what's very important in this particular scenario, is Vic might want to go ahead and create a quote. And by clicking the Create Quote button, we're taking these 4 items, we're going to go out to your ERP system, get real-time pricing and availability on these 4 items for this customer. So you can see here, by just a couple of clicks, we're already directing your sales organization to start entering orders into your ERP system. So it's a very smooth transition from understanding the key metrics of a salesperson's day, channeling that time to the important customers and the understanding which customers to call upon. And then once honing in on a single customer, we can identify products and items and start generating a quote, start generating activities that are truly going to actually bring in the revenue. So you can see here, immediately I've generated a new quote. Now, before I move on to Greg and the next part about the SPA, the SPARXiQ integration points, a few points about our quoting capabilities. I know a lot of people use their ERP system to generate quotes, and of course the ERP system is the system of record for pricing and availability. However, using a truly modern, accessible interface, there's a lot more capabilities available to you and your team to provide a more standardized, better presented, and more efficient quoting environment. For example, let's take these items and let's go ahead and highlight these top 2 and group them. Maybe this is paint products. So by creating a group, I can now start working within groups and moving items around within my groups. Of course, I can reorder items. I can update quantities. Let's say I want a dozen of sheets of this one and 50 sheets of this particular item. Of course, as I go through the process, the extended pricing and system price gets updated automatically. Of course, we have a running total of what our current quote looks like. It's very easy for me to go ahead and add additional new items simply by typing in a part number or keyword within the system. And again, we're going to go out in real time out to the ERP system and populate the rest of the quote accordingly. Now, of course, I can go out and actually generate a search for products. So maybe I want to find a specific category of products, or maybe I want to search by attribute. Let's just go ahead and put in here adhesive. And we're going to run a search and find all the products that match that particular category. And we've got 430 odd. But let's just go ahead and say, okay, for these 3 items, I want to go ahead and add these to my quote. So again, very easy, and I can choose which quote I'm going to add it to. We're going to go out and get real-time pricing and availability. Going to add it to the quote, and you can see here we've now added our adhesive products. Let's go ahead and group them together. As the quote goes along, of course, we're generating, updating in real time. We're creating groups, etc. There's a lot of bulk update capabilities. For example, the ability to import items in from a spreadsheet, the ability to simply paste the long list of items and it will automatically validate those items as I add to the quote. And of course, once I save the quote, it's going to generate a copy of that quote so I can get some historical information at which point I saved the quote. The header of the quote's automatically populated, right? So we know who the customer is. We know what customer's warehouse it is. We can add comments. We can add a running commentary about the any items. We can add attachments. We can import emails pertaining to this quote. On the shipping and total screen, of course, I can choose which shipping address we're going to go to, as well as shipping method and add-ons, just as if you're in the ERP system. But of course, this is formatted for a browser. It's very fast and easy to use, and of course, it looks great on a mobile device as well. A few other nice capabilities here are the ability, once I'm in a quote, and just like I showed you the Netflix screen that showed recommendations and suggested, I could even bring up recommended products within my quote. Now here, instead of looking at a customer's purchase history, I'm going to look at the current basket of products. What items are currently in my cart, and what other items typically go along with that. This is great for upselling. Let's say you've got a large piece of equipment in your cart and there's a warranty that goes along with it. Of course, I can add that particular item. I can get specific pricing and availability for this item. I can find out if there's any supporting attachments or uploads. I can see how many of this particular item are available in the current warehouse. All easy to use, all contextual from within the quote itself. Let's just go ahead and add that item. And the minute I add the item, of course, we're now updating our list of suggested products. So this one's definitely needed for this particular quote. Now let's group this one inside the group of adhesives. Very easy to simply drag and drop our items. And then, of course, we can save this information and download a real nice looking PDF file that's branded according to your organization and that's going to have customer specific information on it. So let's take a quick look at what this quote looks like. Here's our listing of products. It's of course got notes coming in, and it's got terms and conditions. It's got your logo, it's got your customer information, all just in a few clicks. And now, of course, this is now very, very customizable. It's branded for your organization, and now you have consistency in the quotes that are going out. It's truly the best of both worlds. A lot of people manage their quotes in spreadsheets or Word documents because they need that. They need control of the formatting of their quote. But within WPCRM, we give you that same flexibility, but there's consistency in the quotes that go out and the quality of the templates. And of course, if you're having all your quotes going out of the same system, then you're going to be able to do better management tracking of the volume of quotes, the win-loss ratio, the ability to understand which salespeople and which products are performing well versus which areas of the business process need some attention. So in summary, this is how the WP quoting tool works. And I think Greg wanted to say a few words now about how SPARXiQ integrates its pricing logic into WP's quoting capabilities.
Yes, thank you, James. I learned something new every time I see that demo. What a powerful CRM platform, which is why you are best in class for sure. So I want to walk us through the concepts behind price banding, as well as some of the high-level benefits with the WebPresented quoting module. Then we'll actually be doing a live demo of the tools. You can see it in action. James will be walking us through that. So quick refresher for those that are on the call. SPARXiQ, formerly known as SPA. You may remember us as SPA. It's the same company, went through a rebranding about 6 months ago. David Bowder started SPARXiQ in 1993. We worked with well over 500 different distribution businesses in all different kinds of verticals. We've also worked with over 200 of the world's largest manufacturing companies. We work both sides of the channel, which provides us unique perspectives and insights, if you will, insights that we use to help our clients. SPARXiQ is really about intelligent sales and profit acceleration. So if you look across all businesses, generally what they need is certain key insights and analytics to help them do their jobs better. In conjunction with analytics is complementary skills-based training. SPARXiQ is about the combination of analytical insights, and skills-based training, which help companies make better decisions to optimize their pricing and sales profitability. My mouse does not seem to be working. Do I have control? Oh.
Yeah, you should be able to click on it, Greg, and click on my screen, and then you should get that mouse control back.
For some reason it's not working.
Let's try and remove control and try and add it again. How's that?
Nope.
Ah. Was that you, Greg?
Is that me or you?
No, that was me. Oh, there you go. That was you.
That was me. All right. So I'm right there. Okay. Here we go. So let me just back up. All right. So slight delay. So anyway, at the end of the day, what we represent is the intersection of analytics and training to accelerate modern business performance. So here we go. Okay. Frontline sellers need decision support analytics to know the optimal price to sell at. Guessing doesn't work. Cost plus, which is historically how quotations have been done, really doesn't work. Books and PowerPoints don't work, and spreadsheets don't work. Companies with complex pricing environments struggle to maintain optimal margins on daily transactions where a wide variety of products are sold to a wide range of customers. How can salespeople be expected to price correctly without compromising margin by underpricing? It's virtually impossible without data-driven guidance on where to quote each specific customer and product combination. So when you have 5,000 customers and 10,000 SKUs as an example, that provides you with 50 million different potential pricing variations or permutations. Your organization must wade through in order to set a target price and hopefully make a profit. Uniform pricing decisions making like this can significantly affect your bottom line. This process can be remedied with price banding that shows you real-time data and key product information within seconds, helping you provide a profitable targeted quote. So the quoting challenge. So the challenges are, how can I optimize pricing to drive greater profitability in both customer-specific pricing, exception pricing, and override pricing methods? How can my organization move away from cost plus to an optimized market-based pricing architecture? So a lot of times in quotes, even though there may be a suggested price there, there's just one price, and that price may not be suitable in a quoting environment. How can I streamline the quoting process while increasing sophistication and profitability? So those are the day-to-day challenges when a salesperson goes to quote. So what are the solutions? Solution is, of course, the SPARXiQ Price Bands. We deploy real-time pricing guidance to your employees whenever they are, wherever they are, meeting, whether on the road, they're looking at on their phone, desktop, doesn't matter. Wherever they are, we provide real-time pricing guidance. We provide contextualized range of pricing goals tailored to the customer and product on the quote. Richer pricing guidance than a single target price offers. Better information, better decisions, higher win rates, and profitability. Price bands embedded in WebPresented quoting means price recommendations are available to sales reps at time of quote creation and seamlessly support their daily decisions and workflow. WebPresented quoting ERP integration serves that pricing recommendations reflect real-time customers and product information. So essentially, Price Bands targets the existing challenges and obstacles companies face today regarding pricing. Most quote systems don't provide intelligence that supports the pricing recommendations. Our system provides real-time price recommendations based on customer and product information, taking the guesswork out of pricing. So let's look at the reality of most salespeople as they quote today. Salespeople may have to go to 3 different places to find pricing information. That's numerous calls made to branch managers, sales leaders, to acquire pricing approvals and guidance. Price Bands provides analytics and pricing parameters on the spot, making the quoting process way more efficient. Commissions should be intrinsically tied to making the right decisions around price banding. And we believe ultimately that when you provide the salespeople with relevant and accurate information, data, they have the necessary knowledge and skill, assuming they have the necessary knowledge and skill to use that information, and the fact that they have more to gain from a good decision than a bad one because it's tied to commissions. When you do all that, you end up with more of effective pricing guidance and outcome. So price bands reflect a competitive yet profitable price range for the particular product to that particular customer, based on a statistical analysis of the transaction history of similar customers who purchase similar products. The red price defines the bottom, range of the price band and represents the minimum price that should be offered on the transaction. Any discounting below that price would result in money left on the table. The yellow price represents a more profitable price point that will still be competitive in the vast majority of scenarios. Finally, the green price represents the preferred price level for the transaction, one that satisfies the profitability targets of the organization while still being able to obtain that level of price in the marketplace. So next, each of the three price points, the projected sales commission rate for the line item is shown as in the break-even volume threshold. The break-even volume threshold is the incremental increase in volume required at either the yellow or red prices to achieve the same margin dollars that would be earned at the green price. Any of the three price levels can be selected for the item with a click of a button, or the user can manually enter their own price depending on the system settings. And you can set those any way you want. You can set it so that only those pricing can be used, or you can set it so that another price could be entered in into the system. So it really depends on how it's user defined. Finally, relevant information about the customer products, such as the item sensitivity rating, or what we call core status, is defined. The customer's historical price level, or haggle index, is defined, and is displayed next to the price band to provide additional context to the pricing decision. Once a price is selected or entered, clicking the Save button adds the product to the cart or chosen. So this is really kind of the meat of price bandings. So as salespeople are in the quoting process, they can quickly and easily see, here's my three options for pricing, green being the most preferred. However, if I go to yellow, then I know, and I'm going to talk about this in more detail further on, I know my break-even point is I have to add another 25% to the quantity units in order to keep the same gross margin dollars. And red is even further. They have to add, in some cases, maybe 100% more of products. But they know as they're having that conversation with a customer, or as they're in the quoting process as well, they also know by the information I shared earlier is whether this is a non-core D. If it's a non-core D item, perhaps they shouldn't be discounting it at all. Or if a haggle index is fairly high for a customer, then they know intrinsically that that customer is probably going to try to negotiate a better price with them, in which case they want to start high, and then understanding that they're probably going to end up at yellow. So maybe they want to start at green, understanding that they're probably going to end up at yellow anyway, but that's how that customer does business or transacts business. So again, talk about the details. So we're going to go through 3 steps: price banding, break-even concept in more detail, and contextualized guidance that the sales rep has. So price banding, SPARXiQ Price Bands helps your sales organization grow revenues and margin while streamlining the quoting and order entry process. It provides your sales reps with pricing intelligence, cross-sell recommendations that James had talked about earlier, and negotiation guidance, all while entering the quote. Utilizing price banding methodology deploys a more accurate target price, which limits the ability of salespeople to negotiate prices to the same degree as they did before. Instead, the pricing policy delivers them a realistic and accurate target price, and sales must be held accountable for hitting that target or near to it target price. Reining in price negotiations is not as simple as delivering more accurate target prices. It's also about aligning incentives, as we talked about, making rules around when red, yellow, when red or yellow price, as an example, should be used, and holding sales reps accountable. Right. So there's a bit of change management that could come with this. Again, making sure you hold your sales reps accountable, making sure that perhaps they don't change the pricing on a non-core D to a tiny customer, that kind of thing. But this tool gives you the ability to quickly and easily see when a quote is done, what price band they actually used, and we're going to show this in the demo, right? And you can see, if I'm looking down a quote, if there's 50 items, how many were green, yellow, and red. And were they all red? In which case, it brings up a discussion point, or were some green and some yellow. And we know from looking at thousands of companies and behaviors of sales teams that in a lot of cases when they're doing quotations, I'm not talking large quotations here, I'm talking smaller through stock quotations, that we know a lot of sales reps will just do blanket gross margin percent across all items irrespective of product sensitivity. That is a bad behavior that leaves lots of margin on the table. That behavior becomes really evident using SPARXiQ Price Bands with WebPresented quotation module, because we can see really quickly and easily if they do that, and then we can identify that and then start to train and change behaviors along that line. So break even. We realize that 60 to 70% of buyers have been trained in negotiation. Sales teams must be equipped with resources and data to negotiate with these customers. Price banding guides salespeople with immediate, what we call break-even calculations. Information that is valuable to negotiate better terms of trade during the quoting process. By providing break-even calculations in our price banding, we train the sales team on how to negotiate better terms of trade. As an example, a salesperson is speaking with a buyer, and essentially they're saying, we can honor that price as requested if you purchase 200 of the SKUs versus the 100 that you had originally requested. So based on the break-even information readily available in the quotation order entry screen, the salesperson knows that by increasing the order to 200, his gross margin dollars are equal given the reduced sell price. Tremendously powerful information at the fingertip of the salesperson as they're quoting. That information is not available today in any ERP system that I'm aware of. As you can see by the chart, the lower the gross margin percent on a product, the more units you need to sell to keep the same gross margin dollars. A lot of that information is not readily known. People assume gross margin dollars are created equal or units are created equal. They're just not. The lower the gross margin, the higher, or the extra number, or the number of SKUs you sell must be increased. And obviously, the higher the gross margin, you can reduce that some, but it's never equal. And we've all heard the fallacy that I'll just sell more stuff. Well, you got to sell a lot more stuff to equal the same gross margin dollars, and that's the takeaway here. To contextualize guidance, you can see on the screen here, we provide a lot of information, customer segment, customer size, customer haggle index that I talked about, the price environment score, product attributes in terms of the core status, which is incredibly important in making pricing decisions, product group visibility, availability, right? So you're entering a quote and you only have one left and this customer wants it. Do you want to go with a red price? Probably not. You probably want to stick with the green price. The cross-sell, upsell opportunities that are there. Of course, the system price, last price paid, all that information is there. So real-time price recommendations based on customer and product sensitivity take the guesswork out of the pricing. Good, better, best pricing recommendations provide flexibility and ensure real-time approvals, speed to quote. They've already got the parameters. They don't need to go ask anybody else. Now, you may set up a process where if you go beyond red, you need to get approval. Okay, but that takes probably 80 to 90%, or at least a fairly significant, depending on your business model mix, takes a fairly large, significant amount of that work away. So you've got a much speedy process to doing quotes. You can easily select the appropriate price and build out the rest of the quote utilizing the robust features of the WPCRM quoting module. You can, as we talked about before, you can access on a smartphone, tablets, desktop device. You can do it in the field, do it at the customer site, do it, while you're having lunch somewhere. Hopefully we get all back to normal, having lunch at a restaurant or something. And you essentially empower your sales reps with market-aligned, optimized pricing recommendations with this price bands. So by focusing on green, yellow, red pricing banding, it allows sales leadership to start focusing on the right behaviors for their sales force by positioning conversations around the banding, not on cost of goods, which is what everybody wants to use for cost plus on quotations, or even, frankly, gross margin percent, which can be deadly. We all know that every sales rep has their own preferred gross margin percent. We've done it because we've done literally thousands of scatter plots by company and by sales rep. Everybody has their own favorite gross margin percent. And it's irrelevant whether it's a customer, has nothing to do, sadly, with customer size or product sensitivity, even though it should, right? So it takes that conversation out and away, and it no longer matters what the gross margin percent is on that product, because we all know that a lot of sales folks think that anything over 30 or 40%, they might actually go to jail. And so we want to kind of take that away and realize that there are some products that it's okay to make a higher gross margin percent on. Ultimately, we believe clients should tie sales rep commissions, as I've said before, to the pricing decisions sales reps are making. So green prices, as an example, have very different commission percentages versus yellow or red. And what that's enabling the sales force to do ultimately is to migrate their behavior away from cost plus or gross margin percent thinking, as we talked about, essentially showing prices primarily according to their performance against a standard that is not tied to what margin percent they are making. Again, another key takeaway here. So kind of wrapping this up, we're going to get into a lot more detail here as James walks us through the demo in terms of what you're actually seeing on the screen today. But again, at the risk of repeating myself, salespeople can access smart, optimized pricing while using the WebPresented price banding quote feature. Furthermore, with price banding, it enables the sales management team to set boundaries around pricing and around pricing discretion. So our green, yellow, red pricing analytics are presented within the salesperson's workflow. In doing so, it cuts down a lot of wasted time by the sales team, as I said before, calling in, getting approvals for certain pricing, and can I use this and can I use that, and it just takes that all away. Price banding also provides smart guardrails to the sales team, which gives them flexibility to grow top line revenue, but also discipline around their pricing standards. It is also easy to see when salespeople deviate from the recommended green pricing, how much extra volume they need to get the customer to purchase to generate the same gross margin dollars, as I said. So what's the value? At the end of the day, the big question is, all right, what's the value here? So what we've seen is increased gross margin. The average impact is between 100 and 200 basis points on quotation. So take whatever percentage of business that you actually quote, whittle down, and everybody has a different number. But if I'm not talking about, again, the $100,000 projects or the $1 million projects that get shipped direct. So take those out of that equation. Whatever's left, which I would dare say is probably significant, and add a couple hundred basis points, 100 to 200 basis points to that number, and that's going to be your potential pickup. Increased revenue, also increased top line revenue. Pricing guidelines provided dynamically within the quoting module. Strategic price banding recommendations that are powered by SPARXiQ intelligence. Market data contained in the quote module. Negotiation intelligence contained in the quote module. Immediate real-time approvals for price deviations. So, and again, I kind of go back to why should you be using price bands? Again, increase gross margin on stock quotations, improve negotiation skills, improve reliance on data, eliminate most of the cost plus quotient pricing, direct ERP integration, provides cross-sell recommendations. And I believe that is it. James, do you want to go through and do? I know we're approaching the hour. Go through and do a big demo.
I appreciate it, Greg, and I think the demo is going to be very short, just like we went back to that original Netflix example. It doesn't take a whole lot to demonstrate something that's so simple and easy to use. So let's hop back over to the quote that I was making, and you'll notice here that for the most part we've got green prices down in our quote, and that's because when we initially add products to our quote, the system defaults them to the green level. I did tweak the cost of this one, so we're actually back. This one's actually in the yellow level. However, if I click to edit any one of these items, you'll see here that I have the ability to simply, when I'm asked to enter the price for this item, not only as Greg mentioned, do I see the product image, I see the negotiation metrics along the top. So what type of core status is this product, visibility, what's the haggle index, the price environment. But it also is going to ask me which of the 3 price bands I want to go for. And as any good salesperson doesn't really want to spend a whole lot of time deliberating, they're going to be prompted initially for the green one. Now, of course, if there's additional negotiation, then potentially I could go back to this fallback volume. But then if so, the pricing is going to update accordingly for this particular item. So let's just go ahead and set this one to the green item, and I update and close this particular. Actually, let's go ahead and I'm going to update this item right here. So let's go take the second item here. We're starting out at the green, and maybe I want to change this to a yellow or even a red. It's very easy for me to, as a salesperson, to manually update the pricing just by clicking on any one of the bands. And of course, when that band gets clicked, the quote's going to get updated accordingly. So to Greg's point, if your salespeople are still stuck in that mindset of looking at gross margin, then they can tweak the margin accordingly. So let's, for example, take this to 25%. And of course, it's going to update the color coding of the sell price at each and every one of the items. And so from a quick snapshot overview, I can see what is the color banding of each one of our line items. So again, integrated in the process, it's going to default to your green level, but it provides that contextual guidance for the salesperson to understand what's green, what's yellow, what's red, and quickly make pricing decisions, to Greg's point, that aren't based on the cost plus method. So I think that's all there is to it. It's very simple. It's easy to integrate. We've built out the integration points so that it's very fast. And Greg, over to you to wrap things up.
Great, thank you. So let's open it up. We don't have a huge crowd today, so let's go ahead and we can open it up for questions. I have some listed here, but I'd rather hear from the audience first. Is there any questions that anybody has? I assume you can unmute yourself and speak or raise your hand. Any questions? So until there is some, let me just run through some of the questions that you may have here. So we talk about data requirements for using the tools. So from a SPARXiQ perspective, we would get 1 year of sales history. And that's what we would use to populate our analysis. Can we figure price bands for a specific role within your company? Yes, you can. James, do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure, yeah. So the price bands can be configured for any users or all users based on the user's role, based on the user group. The price bands in terms of the defaults that you can set defaults by user, and you can also allow for people to override that price band. Certain users or certain user roles can override and certain can't. So it's very configurable and flexible by user.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and that's key because you can have, as an example, maybe counter people that aren't allowed to override any pricing. They have to use the banding, and you might have some inside sales folks that you may want to allow for override, and a select few that maybe have the ability to do what we call Wild Wild West pricing. And then James, can you go back to the question board? Sorry. And so we talked about the margin impact, as I'd stated before, between 100 to 200 basis points improvement on what actually gets quoted. What kind of permissions, configurations can we make in the tool? We talked about that a little bit, James did. I'll open it back up. We've got 5 minutes to go here. Is there any other questions that anybody has? Hearing none. If you'd like further information, you can reach either myself or WebPresented at the email addresses that you see on the screen. If there's nothing else, be safe, stay healthy, and we wish everyone the best, and thank you for attending this webinar. James?
Thanks very much. Thanks, Greg, and thanks for attending.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.